my dear champions. I welcome you to another learning bite of today, which is all about cultivating Dil Maange More attitude. Let's first quickly learn what is Dil Maange More attitude. To begin with, Dil Maange More attitude is the trait that allows you to persist even when defeat looks like the most probable outcome. Now, people with this attitude are much clearer about the process to attain their goals. They're not afraid of failure as long as they believe that they're doing the right thing. And that's the difference between winners and losers. And therefore, it is important for us to learn those tiny things that we can do and cultivate this attitude in us more and more, because Dil Maange More. So let's move forward and let's understand, why is Dil Maange More attitude important? Well, if we have a Dil Maange More attitude, which is all about that I want more, let me go beyond. When this attitude is there, we enjoy challenges despite the risk, usually because we value learning and growth more than others thinking that what we know or what we're doing, what their perception is. We value learning and growth more than what others are thinking about us. And that is because we know what we're doing and we believe in that. And developing this attitude can contribute to a fuller, more meaningful life, because the range of experiences that such a life encompasses will be considerably broader. If you agree with me, give me a thumbs up. Great, that is awesome. So let's begin our journey of understanding what this Dil Maange More is, and let's begin to learn some ideas from a couple of people who had this attitude of Dil Maange More, and they did something that made them truly, truly remarkable. Let's begin with Malala Yousafzai. On 9th October 2012, while on a bus after taking an exam, Yousafzai and two other girls were shot by a Pakistani Taliban gunman in an assassination attempt in retaliation for her activism. She was very, very active in terms of working for the social causes in her locality. The gunman fled the scene. Yousafzai was hit in the head with a bullet and remained unconscious and in a critical condition for a very long time. But following her recovery, Yousafzai became a prominent activist for the right to education. Based in Birmingham, she co-founded the Malala Fund, a non-profit organization with Shiza Shahid, and in 2013 co-authored I Am Malala, an international bestseller. Her Dil Maange More attitude led her to achieve great things in life, and her struggle for children's and women's rights continues till date. This attitude of standing bravely in the face of all adversity, what makes her a winner. Therefore, let's move forward and begin our journey of understanding more and more important. Now, this Dil Maange More attitude is so important. While we have a cake, we want more and more and more of icing and more of strawberries and jams and chocolates over that, right? Who wouldn't want that? It's such an indulgence. And to go further, to go beyond, to push a little more, to push that little extra effort, that is Dil Maange More. It's the ability to resist failure or use failure that often leads to greater success. If you're ready to begin with me to learn some quick ideas, give me a thumbs up. Great. Now let's begin and let's have a look at these 3 steps to cultivate the Dil Maange More attitude in us. All right. Here we meet Sudha Murthy. She gave up her career for her husband Narayan Murthy so that he could make his dream come true. But it was her ability and her Dil Maange More attitude that gave her the courage, the power to always keep upskilling, even when she was mostly a housewife and a mother, handling things from the background. And over the years, she mastered the art of writing and scripting, and she is the author of 2 best-selling books so far. This attitude of hers inspires us to always keep upskilling in life to avoid any kind of stagnation in our career as well as personal life. So that brings us the first learning, which is always keep upskilling. Success in business and personal life is about creating shared value, solving real world challenges that customer, they have challenges with. Now, skills are therefore necessary to achieve success. So upskilling oneself is never bad investment, right? You can never go wrong there. And it's always good to know something about everything. But ultimately, one needs to know everything about something. You need to create that expertise and that contemporary awareness about things, those advancements, and keeping keeping in pace with how the advancements are going in that particular field, which is your forte. So becoming an expert in that is also important. What you have learned so far, what you've achieved so far is awesome, but there's more beyond it, right? So that's what upskilling and always be prepared for upskilling really mean. Let's move champions now to the second great learning. This is Vijay Shekhar Sharma. He's the founder of Paytm Karo, right? The Paytm, the app we use almost every day in our lives. And when he was trying to establish Paytm with his amazing ideas, he faced a lot of criticism from everyone around him. People used to put him down, make him feel bad about his idea, criticize his plan to integrate the banking system in his app. And over years, he collected the feedback and the criticism that the users of the app and other investors had for him. And he created the first ever app that integrated banking and enabled users to have a digital bank on their phone. And most of us use Paytm on an everyday basis, and we know how easy it has made our lives, right? It has integrated so many platforms and so many vendors with the customers, and it's so easy to use that. And therefore, what he shows, his story shows, is how to use criticism and feedback and create great success. That is the second learning of the day here, champions, which is be open to criticism and feedback. Now, the purpose of criticism is to make things better. Now, that's a ground rule. But that's a ground rule when we are giving a feedback. When we are receiving a feedback, we can't always be sure of the purpose with which the criticism was initiated. And I'm sharing this because sharing feedback and receiving feedback has always been a challenging conversation, right? So if I am a manager and I'm reporting to a manager as well, now when I share feedback with my team members, they're not open to it. When I'm receiving at the receiving end of the feedback, I am becoming defensive. So in both the conversations, I am observing that the entire feedback, the entire purpose of the feedback is not being achieved. Reason being, because there are certain things that we are not following. Now, to go further on that, let's also understand if I am a manager and I'm also reporting to a manager, what I have control over is how I am giving feedback to my team members and how I am receiving feedback from my manager. I have no control whatsoever how my supervisor or how my senior is giving a feedback to me and how my team is receiving that feedback. I have no control on that. But what I can control, what I can excel, what I can improve upon, what I can work on is how I give feedback and how I receive feedback. If you agree with me, give me a thumbs up. Yes, that's where my discretion works. That's where my excellence works. That's where I can work, right? Now, so what do I need to work? And I need to change just myself. I can't take responsibility of others. But when others will say, will observe effects of my changes, my initiatives, my attitude, they will have more convincing, reasons to change themselves. Till then, I will work only on myself, right? So what do I need to do now? Now, being open to criticism and feedback, how do I do that? While you're giving feedback also, there are certain things that have to be observed, right? Now, like we already discussed about, the purpose of criticism is to make things better. Now, how do I make sure that my team also understands that? How do I make sure that when I tell my team member, okay, you know what, I want to speak about this particular task that you did, and let's speak at 5 o'clock. They shouldn't be when they come for the meeting at 5 o'clock, they shouldn't be defensive as to what all reasons, what all excuses am I going to give when Yasha asks me why did this not happen. And that's natural for them to have that feeling, because usually that's the energy of feedback sharing sessions or feedback sharing conversations. But what I need to focus on doing with my team members is when I'm giving a feedback to them, it is important for me to ascertain and ensure that they are ready to accept the feedback. And that'll happen when I do a little bit of rapport. I tell them the context, and I also tell them why I feel proud about them, right? And tell them, and it's not just that I believe in that. I have to say that as well, champions, because my team also needs to believe in that. And the more I say and the more I do, only then they will be able to see that, yes, what I say and what I do are the same things, and I must believe Yasha. So, what I need to tell them is the fact that what has gone wrong. But how do I ensure it doesn't happen again? What do I do to correct it? And what do I do so that it doesn't happen again? Work on the corrective mode, not on the punishment mode, right? And these are small little things. That's first thing. Make them assure that you're ready to accept their ideas by telling them how much you trust them, how much you believe in them, how much you're proud of them, and tell them that this has gone wrong. We are talking about it because we want to correct it. First, second, we don't want to get it repeated. So it's more of a corrective action and a very progressive action, and also not a punishment act. The second is that the whatever has gone wrong, it has to go in a passive voice, not in an active voice. So when we are speaking about a feedback, make sure that we are not saying things like you did that or you made a mistake. Just tell them this has happened this way. This was not how it's supposed to be. Talk about the task, not about the person. Now you might feel, how does it matter? Well, yes, it matters a lot. It matters because the kind of receptivity of things, when I am saying, I am here and you are against me and I'm telling you what happened wrong. This is one scenario when I use active voice. You did this mistake. This is what you have done. This is a blunder, right? So I'm speaking to you, you did a blunder. Now, this is one situation where I, as a manager or a supervisor, I'm telling my team member that you did wrong, right? Now, this is manager versus the team member. This is one situation. And the second situation is, okay, say my team member's name is Manav. So I tell Manav, you know what, this task was supposed to happen this way, but you know what, this is where it has gone wrong. And this is how it should have been, but this is where things did not fit in right. And when I'm discussing this with Manav, in this conversation, champions, please note, this is Yasha and Manav against what has happened wrong. We are one team. Now, the small active and passive changes in my conversation, in active voice, I'm telling you did this. In passive voice, I'm telling this has happened. This is the C change. This is the C difference which is there. When I'm using active voice, it is me against you. When I'm using a passive voice, it is me versus the situation. Let's solve it. It's more of a problem solution oriented conversation. And it's not a big change in terms of changing at the base level, but the impact that it creates all the difference. If you agree with me, give me a thumbs up there. Right. Great. The third thing that we're going to talk about in opening to feedback and criticism is make sure that you're doing it in one-on-one and not public. That is most important thing here. Most of the critical feedback, even if given with the bestest of intent and purpose of making things better, they still go wrong because it's, if I'm speaking to Manav and I'm sharing, you know what, Manav, this has gone wrong and all of that, but I'm speaking in front of 4 people, Manav is still defensive. So all these critical conversations and critical feedback has to happen on one-on-one, right? Now, these were a couple of points that I shared with you. How do you make your team open to feedback and criticism? This is my effort. This is what I can do. The rest is their responsibility, their choice, their discretion of responding to what I do. But I can put in my efforts. So this was how I make my team open up for that, or people around me open up for feedback. The second is, how do I open up myself? The first is I start listening to them. If I'm getting a feedback from, say, my supervisor, my colleagues, my family members, anybody, it's important that I listen, and I listen not how they are saying things or what tone they are using. Don't get into all of that, because that could just be the situational thing, right? It's not the crux of the situation, because the purpose of feedback is to get better. So I should know where do I need to get better, right? So listen for ideas, be a sponge for ideas, pick up those ideas. That's the first thing that I need to do. So when Subhash is giving a feedback to me, he is my manager, I become very open to ideas. I don't focus on how he's saying, you know what, Yasha, that day, when you did this was a big mistake. I'm not focusing on that. I'm just focusing on where did he tell me what went wrong, all right? So I pick up those ideas. Okay, so he said, okay, the presentation that you made, it had all the different colors. It was so mixed up, no confused. Okay, so I need to use less colors now in my presentation. So I am picking up ideas. Where do I need to improve upon? Makes sense? I'm not getting into the irrelevant details around it, because those are relevant. Those are situation. Those are explanations of the situation. I'm not getting there because it is not going to help me improve. What is going to help me improve is when I focus on those improvement areas. So I focus on that. And then I also give a lot of respect through my body language. If I'm speaking to people who are giving a feedback to me, I don't say, oh my God, why are they giving a feedback to me? No, it's important. Feedback is the breakfast for champions. I am a champion, you are a champion. Always be ready for a feedback because we are continuously striving towards improvement, right? Great. So when somebody is giving a feedback to me, the second point is I become open and I respect them, right? I respect them. I tell them that thank you so much for taking out time, making those efforts, for doing these observations and sharing these with me, right? And the third thing is probe for details. Probe for details is, so I've heard everything, I'm striving for ideas, but ask more. Was there anything else, Subhash, that I could have improved upon? And how do you think I'll be able to improve upon? Be entirely focused on, be prepared within that feedback conversation to an extent that the moment you are out of that conversation, you start working on those improvements. Make sense? We have no time to waste. Time is very limited. And one day we may realize that we have less than what we thought we had, right? So do it right now. And improving ourselves is the best kind of focus, is the best kind of investment that we can make, right? And if somebody is giving us those ideas, we should be really, really grateful to them because they are helping us improve. So listen to the ideas, be open and be very respectful to people who are giving you that feedback in whatsoever way they are giving it. Listen for ideas and then probe for details of what ought to be improved and if they can help us in improving. Now, someone else can, of course, see what you're doing from a slightly different perspective. And therefore, other people's feedback are really, really valuable suggestions for us, right? And if we open ourselves up to these suggestions and inputs, we can easily develop our Dil Maange more attitude, isn't it? Because right now we are focusing on improving, moving further, and just becoming a superstar. Make sense? All right. So then let's hear what Bill Gates has to tell us. He says we all need people who will give us feedback. That's how we improve. Simple statement, but coming from somebody who's worked his way up, really, really tells us what's the impact of the feedback. Let's move forward, champions. He is Sunil Bharti Mittal. He's the founder and chairperson of all the Bharti groups. Bharti Group has given us the famous telecom company, Airtel, right? Now, Sunil Mittal is a man with Dil Maange more attitude. Over the years, he has always been an advocate of learning from one's mistakes and using them to pave the path for success, which makes so much of sense. While Airtel launched its music browsing app, there was a time Wink was launched, right? The music app. Now, it was a great failure in the start. And it was one failure that wasn't expected. But Sunil Mittal left no stone unturned in understanding the mistakes they had made with this app and launched a successful comeback for the app, and it has over 1 million users today. And that is what we can learn from Mr. Mittal, which is learn from your mistakes. If we can learn from our mistakes, then we'll be able to make fewer mistakes or newer mistakes, right? And this can sometimes calm the fear of trying new things, a key aspect of building a Dil Maange more mindset. When we don't learn from our mistakes, we inflict unnecessary stress on ourselves and on others, and we risk losing people's confidence and trust in us, and which becomes a vicious circle, and then we never are able to move forward. Make sense? Right. So when we make mistakes, learn from them, move forward, right? And like Nikki Giovanni says, mistakes are a fact of life. It is a response to errors that counts. Make sense? Awesome. Now let's quickly summarize the 3 ideas to cultivate Dil Maange more attitude. The first one is always keep upskilling. The second is be open to criticism and feedback. And the third is learn from your mistakes. And I'm very, very sure that with these ideas, you will be able to have your Dil Maange more attitude really, really with you, and you working towards a better you, a better version of you. With this, champions, congratulations. You all guys are set to win. On more such learning joyrides with us, you're most welcome to connect with us over LinkedIn. My name is Yasha from Star Consulting, and I'll be happy to connect back with you. With this, I know you are a superstar, and with these amazing ideas, you'll be able to upscale yourself much more. All the very best, champions. Thank you. Namaste.